from that
Well, another talk
deep
that was
dish.
interesting on the technical side of things that was given by David Beck. I wrote down his talk title was "Surviving in Low Connectivity," and that was a very interesting talk for me because my app does rely on a network connection just for posting social. As a social network, it obviously relies on the internet for most of its functionality. And he gave some good insights. The most kind of the most useful to me was that if you have low connectivity, it's hard to tell and hard to test for because just using the iOS simulator to simulate low connectivity is not necessarily reflective of what happens in the real world.
And
He's a
you're
developer for
talking about the what is that thing called? The tool that
yeah,
goes with the simulator, or you can have it on your iOS device that is
right. Yeah,
gosh,
it's like
network link conditioner.
yes, nice, yes,
Okay, yeah.
and which honestly I haven't really played with because I just it's like I can only attack so many things in one day, and I haven't really played with it. But he said a way to help your app survive in low connectivity was focus on what your app is uploading, not necessarily the download issues, but upload issues. And if you're making network requests, look at your headers. What are you sending in your header? And if you can reduce that by any margin, that will really help if you are in a low network connection or poor connection state with your app. And so I need to dive deeper into that. I only made notes about it. I haven't actually worked on that because we're only, I mean, it was a week ago that we got back from Deep Dish Swift.
Right,
So
right. One of the
so
ones
I
that
haven't tackled.
stuck out to me that he talked about too, which was he was talking about the difference between HTTP one, HTTP two, HTTP three, and HTTP one was just like one connection for one request, and then and then they added the thing where you can do one request and then keep the connection open and do another request, and then HTTP two like multiplexes them so you can have multiple requests going simultaneously, but they don't need to complete in order. Um, and then HTTP3 uses this other protocol instead of TCP, something called Quick, which I don't really understand, but yet. But the thing that was interesting is he was talking about compression, and he said in HTTP2 and HTTP3, headers are automatically compressed, and he said something about the headers aren't resent if there's a resend or something. I didn't. Did you follow that part?
Yeah, I remember him talking about that. And if you I would I'd have to look back at that or look deeper into that because it was something about don't just resend and resend and resend because you're just jamming the pipeline. And I mean, it was an interesting point to make, but I don't know. My knowledge of network requests isn't deep enough to know if my app is resending and resending. I think it just sends once, and there's just a timeout that's going to happen. So, and
Right,
then
and
it'll
I know when you
fail.
use URL session, it will automatically retry. I think everything, not post request, but I think everything else, pretty much, I think it's retried. And one of the things he was also saying is make sure that whatever you're sending is retriable, and and by that I mean that if it shows up twice, it doesn't mess anything up.
That's
Like let's
right.
say you send it twice, and you don't want to all of a sudden be duplicating somebody's post because the message got there twice or whatever.
Right, right. Oh, so
But he also was
URL
talking about the
session.
compression. He said, the responses are normally compressed, the replies coming back to you. But he said the request, like your outgoing request, is usually not compressed. Um, Although you normally can compress it, which is, I didn't realize that either. So that might be a way to save a little bandwidth.
Yeah, things to look into. It was very insightful because he made the point to show that he actually went out as a developer. He went around for a full day with a dasher, somebody delivering food,
Right.
and how the app works in these different areas of the town that he's in. And sometimes they're in a building or in an elevator, and is the app still functioning? I mean, these are real world tests. I admired that
Yeah,
they do
yeah. He
that
went
at
into a
DoorDash.
lot of detail, which was great. We're not going to hit every little piece here, but
Well, no.
the one other thing I was just thinking of, he had said was that, usually when you're not, when your app just stops working, you usually have some connectivity. And what it usually is you have some reasonable downstream coming to you connectivity and a very, very low upload connectivity and speed. And, in like kilobits, like small amount. And he was saying if you need to have, certain requests that really need to get through, that really the only way to do that is to make space for them in your own sending of messages. So like, maybe don't retry everything super aggressively, or uh, actually, for the things that matter a little less, don't send them back to back, and make sure there's a spot. So if you have something that is important, that you can get it through. And that's what he said he was working on for the, I guess the Dasher for DoorDash, the Dasher part of that system.